The Drowned Woman. It was a long time ago. I was 15 years old. And I was walking from school. It was very late and the streets were all empty, which surprised me a bit. My way out of school was through yards, and there were a lot of stories about them, and scary ones at that. About maniacs who bloodily killed their victims with axes and clubs, and about rabid night dogs that tear human flesh to shreds. But these are just stories invented by caring parents to avoid real problems on the heads of their young children. I didn't believe these stories for a long time, because my parents themselves said that it was just fiction. So, I walked down the street lit only by the faint light of a lone lamppost. I had nowhere to go in a hurry, since my parents considered me independent, that they could even send me alone to the other side of the country without worrying. Thinking about it, I didn't even notice how I had walked halfway, and was 4 meters away from the lone lamppost. Suddenly, among the bushes I saw a dog or a man, so I decided to come closer. At last the faint light of the lantern let me see a woman. She was sitting with her back to me, on her knees, her arms around her body. I could hear the poor woman sobbing every 2 seconds. She was wearing clothes, a white dress to be exact, but ragged and frayed, very dirty, as was her hair. I was naturally frightened. The woman reminded me of those creepy characters in horror movies. Confused and scared, I just wanted to leave before the woman noticed my presence. But my body wouldn't listen. I suddenly changed my mind and decided to ask what happened and what she was doing at this hour, alone, and crying. So I asked. The only answer was silence. Complete silence. The woman also fell silent. I felt really creepy. She started to get up slowly. Standing up so slowly, and not vividly, very strangely. She turned around. Her face, disfigured. Her eyes, so glassy, so empty, but not scary, but sad. Though dead. Her face is white. And the mouth. The mouth was sewn up with red thread. The stomach was gaping with hundreds of stab wounds. I looked. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to scream now and run home, but to no avail. Only now did I realize what it was like to be buried in the ground. And she stood there as if waiting for an answer. I was very afraid, but something told me she wouldn't hurt me. And then all of a sudden, her eyes. She started to cry. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. And I had a lump in my throat. I couldn't have felt more emotion in my life than I did in that moment. I felt sorry for her, though I didn't even know why she was crying. Suddenly, I walked over to her, and I hugged her. And I felt warmth. A special warmth, like a mother's warmth. And I started to cry myself. And suddenly, the woman whispered in my ear. And I passed out and fell on the pavement. On the second day I woke up in a hospital bed. My mother told me that she found me with my father in the grass under a bush. And then, for some reason, without fear of being put in an asylum, right there in front of the doctors, I told my mother about the woman. My mother burst into tears, and 10 minutes later, told me that I had actually seen my aunt, who had been killed and sunk by a maniac along with her baby when I was born.